I'm really excited to be here and talking to the founder of Easton University, man. You've not only helped me, but you've helped thousands of other sales professionals. I mean, your process is easy to follow, it's understandable, and the best part about it, in my opinion, is you really uncover the why behind the why, and you're always next
Hmm.
step obsessed. Um, yeah, as I said, it's helped me and my sales team before. I've seen the results of it, but I really want to share it with my network and get the word out about what you're working on. Um,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making the time.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I found the core of your process really being next step obsessed. In
Hmm.
theory, it's pretty simple to follow. It really is straightforward, but in practice, I found sometimes reps can either move too quickly to it or slow down the process. How have you found coaching people through finding that right balance and being focused on the next step, but not pushing too much or pulling back too quickly?
Yeah, and I would say, Jonathan, that's where, and like you and I having worked together with teams that you've had in the past, um, having people like you in leadership and sales management really, really helps because a lot of times I will work with sales reps, people that come to Easton University on their own, not because they had a forward thinking, aggressive leader. I mean, I'll say it, you drive your teams hard, right? But you take good care of them, not because their leader is like, hey, I wanted to give you the tools. They're trying to get the tools themselves. So it's nice when leadership understands, hey, we've got a process here. We need to trust the process because oftentimes it's the sales rep that thinks my job is to be the smartest person in the room. It's not. My job is to do most or all of the talking. Gives you a lot of things for them to disagree with. And I need to get really quickly to, if it's software, the bits, the bytes, the blinking lights, if it's real estate, it's the property, it's the solution. None of that could be further from the truth, Jonathan, both in our personal lives and in our professional lives. We need to slow the heck down. So it's nice when I get to work with team leaders like you and the teams that you've led, where you're like, hey guys, trust the process, slow down, get their attention, create a next step, follow the next steps. And when we're able to do that, and I'm able to work with leaders and people of your caliber, that's where we see, like we've seen with the teams that you've managed with me before, hockey stick type performance.
Exactly. You're hitting in something there and slowing down the process.
Mhm.
I really feel like that's something that's really important. Like you say, you got to slow it down to move faster, later on.
Yep.
Um, One thing I've really, I'm kind of curious about, so many reps are kind of gun shy, maybe is the right word, to really explore the why behind the why.
Yeah.
I found that, people don't always lean in and explore that pain point of really why they need that solution. And more people are excited to go, hey, I've got this shiny object. Look at this. This is what I want to sell you. Um, you know, why do you think that is with reps? They don't slow down and really uncover the why. And then, what happens in the sales process when they do?
Do you want a canned answer, or do you want the real? Are you ready for? You can't handle the truth, Jonathan Goodwin. You can, because I know you're a great leader. But can you handle the truth? Can I give you the truth?
Man, I would love the truth. And I think the people that are watching this would love to know what the truth is.
I will tell you the truth that a lot of people feel and are unaware of, and the folks that I don't know, they've done their sensei, they've become fully aware of their world, that are aware of it, they will never tell you as their leader. The reason why people rush through things and they get so quickly into product presentation, hey, if I could have 5 minutes of your time, would love to show you this, would love to show you that, is because they're afraid to learn about the client. And why I'm telling you they're afraid and why this is important for you as a sales leader and all sales leaders out there, here's the truth that we don't want to handle. You do, but your constituents don't. Your people are afraid to have that level of a personal conversation with an organization, with an individual, because they're afraid that they're going to hear no, not interested. It's not a fit for us. And deep down, okay, I know this because I'm still one, even though I own two companies. I'm a salesperson. Okay, I've spent my entire life in sales. I have laid many a night, most nights, back when I was a W-2 employee, worrying about one thing and one thing only, and that's getting fired. And the reason why we zip through presentations is there's a subtle but secondary win. And it's horrible. It's cancer for people like you, Jonathan Goodwin. You've probably experienced this before. And it's your team calls, your weekly calls, where your team is constantly going, I used to call it SPOTA, right? There's quota, and then this deal's SPOTA come in, right? It's not quota, it's SPOTA. It's supposed to come in next month. SPOTA come in the month after that. That's SPOTA come in at the beginning of the year, and it never freaking comes in. It's because your people are so afraid to really have a good conversation with somebody because they're afraid what's on the other side of that conversation is, we don't need you, it's not a fit, we're happy with the status quo, we've got a great incumbent. And what they want, they really want a sale, Jonathan. They want a commission. They want to hit their numbers. They want to make President's Club, okay? But right underneath that, and in some cases above that, is I want to keep my job. And if I keep the conversations at a very surface level, I bring in an SDR, I send them a white paper, I book all the white space on my calendar, I get to tell, not you, because you're not that type of leader, Jonathan, but I get to tell my leadership, man, I'm working hard. I booked 4 demos this week, right? I'm traveling, I'm going to lunch, I'm having conversations, but they're not. They're doing product pitches. They're doing stuff that the customer could see on the website. Here's the other little piece, not to turn this into like a therapy session, but the other side of this and why it's so hard for like world-class VPs of sales, directors of sales like you, Jonathan, is the customer is helping them in this mirage, in this smoke screen, because why? The customer is also worried about what? Getting fired, right? Yep. And so they want to say what? Oh, I have some meetings booked, right? So let's say it's Easton Software, right? And you're my boss. Hey, Matt, what's going on with the Acme deal? Oh, Acme deal's going good, man. I need to bring in an SDR. We're going to fly out to St. Louis. Everything is looking good. We're doing a huge presentation. I never have the conversation. Number one, I don't get their attention properly. Number two, I don't deliver an insight about what's going on in the world. Impossible for mid-size management companies to hire XYZ engineers. How are you guys dealing with that? It's a problem. When you say it's a problem, can you give me a specific example? Right? Slowing the process down, not going right into, hey, we can help you find great qualified candidates or whatever the solution is that we sell. And then I tell you, Jonathan, man, I've got a great meeting booked, but yet I know nothing about them. And then the person on the other side of that, the customer, they get to tell their boss, I'm bringing in a vendor, I'm talking to vendors. It's a bunch of people doing a bunch of busy work because everybody's afraid to have a real conversation with their leader, not you if they're working for the great and powerful Jonathan freaking Goodwin, right? And to say, hey, I think I'm struggling, right? I just talked to this prospect. I realized that the CRM says that they're a fit. I realize they visited the booth at our trade show, but I got to be honest with you, Jonathan. I'm having a tough time figuring out like really what's going on at that company. And other than them saying they need to be Sarbanes-Oxley 9201 compliant, I don't really understand why they're buying our stuff. Like everybody's afraid to have a conversation like that. But you as a awesome leader, you would like nothing more than, would you punish your person if they came to you and said that?
Of course not. Those are coaching moments. You can uncover,
exactly.
the why behind the why and work through it. And candidly, if you get a no quickly, you can at least put it in your sustainable pipeline and find out, tomorrow, in the future, maybe it's a fit then, and you can spend more of your time on the stuff that actually matters.
100%. And this is why we need leaders like you just as much as we need coaches like me, is because the industry is set up for everybody to just pitch. And by the way, that's going away. You pick your poison on the AI, okay? You can ask it for a demo of go do that. Go into chat, go into Gronk, what is it, Gronk, I don't freaking know, all of them, right? And just say, hey, I want you to tell me about my company. It'll do an all right job, right? Where we need to be skillful and successful in sales is this. I have to be able to get your attention, right? I have to
Right.
be able to deliver an insight so that when you have a conversation with me, you feel better off. Wow, that person really gets it. That team really understands it. They care about me, my organization, and where we're going. Okay, and then I'm going to figure out, I'm going to monetize what your situation looks like. If the problem's not big enough for me to solve, I'm going to raise my hand. Hey, I just wanted to raise my hand, let you know, based on everything I'm hearing, you guys aren't a fit right now. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have integrity. But most importantly, because that's rarely going to happen, I'm going to be able to say, you know what, Jonathan, because of the fact that you had told me you guys are having a really difficult situation hiring people in engineering. And by difficult situation, what I mean by that is your last 3 hires, not only did they come on board and really underwhelm you as far as their ability to do right by the team, they're actually were taking resources away from other people that were now having to help them do their job. And you lost 2 of your rock star people to your competition. And based on everything that I hear you saying, you sound like a really excellent candidate for our 1, 2, 3, 4 recruiting system, right? What this is going to be able to do is allow us to step in and pre-screen these candidates before they ever even walk through the front door or get on a Teams call at the office, thus mitigating or possibly wiping out altogether the ability for you guys, or the probability that you guys are going to have another mishire there in the engineering department, allowing you to finally get back on track with R&D and get that revenue from 16 million to 32 million in 2026. Does it make sense for me to send over some information on getting you guys access to that service, right? When I slow the hell down and spend 90% of my time talking about here's what's going on in the industry, being more of a therapist than a sales rep, and saying, hey, this is what's going on. Here's what nobody's talking about. It's not just having a mishire there. It's about what that mishire is doing to your ecosystem, to your culture, to your organization. How are you dealing with it? It's about me slowing down and saying, just out of curiosity, where are you guys at in terms of top line revenue right now? Where do you want to be? Right? And spending 90% of the time talking about the client in the organization. Now, what I need is a coach like me, okay, I'm shameless plug for Easton University, a coach like me that's going to show them how to elegantly walk through that process. But then, Jonathan, I need a leader. If I'm a top performer and I really had to pick the recipe for success, I need a leader that's going to support me in slowing the process down in the beginning. Not a leader that's like, you got to book demos. Not a leader that's like, you got to jam white papers down people's throat. A leader that's like, let's strategically look at the market, figure out where we can do the most good, figure out how to slow down, get those people's attention, how to deliver insights, some, I hate to say it, but some free management consulting. We're going to give them some ideas that leave them better off, even if they don't go with us. And then I need a leader like you, Jonathan, that is patient, that understands the process. I'm not saying you're not going to push me hard. I'm not saying you're not going to make sure that I'm hitting my numbers, but at the same time, you're going to understand that success doesn't happen in just pushing things down people's throats and going to a demo and getting solution engineers involved and moving this thing to RFP. Those deals were won or lost before it ever went to RFP or RFQ.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. You know, just out of curiosity, you know, as you were talking about the process, I feel like there's probably things that most reps overcomplicate. And your process is really making it about it's simple, repeatable, and focusing on the benefits. You know, what's the one thing that you think people in the entire process typically overcomplicate? And what have you found works best to coach them through that?
They are not going to believe me when they hear this, and whether they join Easton University or work for a rock star like you, Jonathan, it's just a fact. The thing that we overcomplicate the most is talking about ourselves, our product, our features, our benefits, our terms, how awesome our company is, our culture, our mission statement, all that stuff. And I'm not saying it's not important, but where we overcomplicate it is we lead with that, right? And all we have to, sales is not that complicated. You're in the business of getting somebody's attention, delivering an insight, asking them how they're dealing with it, monetizing the problem that they're trying to solve or the outcome that they're trying to achieve, And the way that you know it's important to them is it comes out of this general area of their face. They say it, not you say it, right? Huge difference. Hey, we help companies like you save 35%. Sounds like a insurance commercial with a lizard, right? That's not sales consulting. That's pitching. That's marketing. The thing that we overcomplicate is we get a little pulse, right? We listen for a pulse, or our prospect can fog a mirror, and we overcomplicate it by jumping into the product. I have sold software packages that were in the hundreds of millions of dollars, like literally document management systems to the biggest insurance carriers in the world. I did not do that by talking about bits, bytes, blinking lights, OCR, the ability to scan however many documents. I did that by talking about where they were going, how they're moving into workers' comp, how that's going to affect the stress on their underwriting department, how much they'd like to do with this new workers' comp line, how we could possibly help get them faster. I spent most of the time having very uncomplicated conversations about what's going on in the world, in the universe of that company, of that person. Where do they want to go within their company? And I spent very little time talking about the software itself, the solution itself. Because when you can prove to a prospect, an organization, a company that you understand the problem, and you can say, because of the fact that you said this, and we've helped a number of carriers like you get to where you're going today, you can skip through all of that complicated product pitch, product demo. Let me show you this. If I could have 5 minutes, let's jump on a call and I'll walk you through some samples. People don't want to see that. And they can access it right there on their phone. We're making sales too complicated because we're afraid to get personal. We're afraid to ask the right questions like, where are you at now? Where do you want to be? And we're for sure afraid when they say something to say things right out of Easton University like, Jonathan, when you say blank, can you give me a specific, when you say you guys are looking to really change the game by adding workers' comp to your overarching policy portfolio, can you give me a specific example? Yeah, our board of directors is really looking for us to add another 30 million in top line revenue here within the next 24 months, right? Hanging out there and not hanging out in the solution, you're going to do great.
I'm kind of curious, is there one last thing that you probably want to talk about is, Easton University, and giving it a little bit of a plug so that people know, hey, it's a great utility. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I would love to plug Easton University. I'd like to think I don't need to because we've got so many followers on social media. We've got 2,600 video testimonials from top performing people. People like Jonathan Goodwin. You might be in there. I don't know. There's 2,000 of them. You're probably buried in there somewhere. But I will say this. I'm going to use my time that I normally would plug Easton University. EastonUniversity.com, there. I said it 3 times, EastonUniversity.com. Don't need to say it anymore. And I'm going to plug you for a second, Jonathan. If you are not looking for sales coaching, but you feel like your leader gets it, you feel like your VP of sales gets it, you feel like your director of sales gets it, okay? You're working for a Jonathan Goodwin, okay? Take the time and let that person know. Take the time and let your CEO know. Take the time and let your CFO know. Take the time and let your board know. Whatever you can do, and you guys are like, I don't want to do that. Let your team know, hey, I love working for Jonathan. He understands it. He's invested in my future. He wants me to accomplish my goals. Because here's what Jonathan is too humble to say. Great directors of sales, great VPs of sales, they're the best at supporting their team, but oftentimes the challenges that they're faced with from above, CEO, C-suite, board of directors, is somewhat counter to them supporting their sales reps. So if you have a leader that's willing to be patient with you, that understands that this is a lot more than just having demos, that understands that sales is an art and you need to be a consultant, and is vested in you getting better, please let that person know. I'm going to do it for you right now, Jonathan Goodwin. You're the type of person that companies need to frickin' hire because you get it. You understand that we could have, I don't want to turn this negative, but we could have the cure for cancer right now, and it's still going to need to get sold. right? These are the things that venture capital doesn't talk about, that the board doesn't talk about, that the rest of the C-suite doesn't talk about. But unfortunately, the Jonathan Goodwins of the world, you have to make good on that promise of R&D, product development, venture capital. Everybody's saying, this is dynamite, man. We're gonna hit the ground running with this, and we're gonna quadruple sales. Sales is not an afterthought, right? That is no different than if you, let's say I was single. I'm not. I'm very happily married. But let's say I was single, Jonathan, and you gave me a Bugatti, 0% body fat, and $1 million. Okay? The chances of me being able to just walk in based on my car, my looks, and my net worth and have a really quality relationship that's going to be the type of marriage that somebody absolutely admires, building a family that people are jealous of, is about zero. Because just because I have all that stuff doesn't mean that I don't have to get the attention of the right person. Learn a little bit about them, right? Isn't that weird that we think about that in dating and we're like, that's a gross, like if I said, give me a rich, gross person, that's exactly who you would define. Somebody that's just got a lot of money and driving a Lamborghini and thinks that they don't stink, right? But this is how we act, and this is how our boards act, and this is how our leadership acts a lot of time to the Jonathan Goodwins of the world. Our product is great. Our product is amazing. Why the hell aren't you guys selling it? It's because it takes a process. It takes a leader that understands this is a relationship that we have to build, and we have to slow that process down a little bit in the beginning. If we do that, we'll close the deals. And that's why you, if I can call you JG, that's why JG is always hitting his numbers, because you're patient with your people. I hope that wherever you're at or wherever you're going to be in the world, that your leadership understands that. But we need more people like you, Jonathan, that get it, that nothing sells itself. It just doesn't. Right? We're going to have to slow down. We're going to have skillful conversations. And especially in the world of technology today, that's what everybody is starving for. They're starving for human interaction that's going to really have a good two-way bidirectional conversation. And as sales reps, we're starving for leaders like you, Jonathan, that understand that aren't just, you know, cracking the whip on, you need to schedule more meetings, you need to have more calls. Why isn't your calendar full? There's a lot more to it than just filling up white space on the calendar.
Exactly. Don't confuse activity with results. And not to use an old cliche that's probably worn out, nothing happens until something gets sold. So
100%. Let me give them my mobile. If anybody has any questions and you want to talk to me, my mobile is 720-660-3202. You can find me at eastonuniversity.com. Jonathan, I'm going to put a challenge out to you. If somebody's looking for a great leader, or they just want to be friends with somebody like you that is a great leader, how can somebody get a hold of you and reach out to you? I hear all the time, find me a director of sales, find me a VP of sales. If somebody wanted to have a conversation with you, Jonathan, and say, here's what we got going on in our organization, do you want to take a look, or do you know somebody that might be a fit, or will you come over and just help us get where we want to get? How do they get a hold of you?
I'm always on my mobile. It's 901-568-1715.
Perfect. Call Jonathan. I'm vouching for him right now. If you want to talk about the process, call me. If you want great leadership, call Jonathan. If he can't help you himself, he knows just about everybody because he hangs out with all the top players, including myself. We tend to hang out with people that get it, hang out with other people that get it. I appreciate you interviewing me, man. It was fun.
I really appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity. And I know you'll really help a lot of people. And thank you. You have a great one.
I think you will too. And thank you for making the world a better place, Jonathan.
Likewise. All right.